Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me over?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower, Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Hurrah! Get some. What's going on, everybody? Friday night's Eve. Shit, I just drew a blank. Let's start over. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Friday night's Eve, baby Friday. Well, goddamn, it's almost the weekend. I'd like to start out that I guess last week there were some technical difficulties the way the show is presented online, and you could just see my big ass mug. So hopefully, what I did today took care of that. So, but we got a really good show for you guys today. Before we get started, let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, when was the last time that you took a hard look at your finances? One thing that I learned the other day is that not only can we help you with your finances and maximize the best of putting strategies together for you in regards to saving for your future, whether you want to buy a house or, go on that great vacation, putting those strategies together. But also, we can also help you putting your 401k going from coach to first class. There's an amazing. This is not advice or a suggestion. It's just that some of the strategies that we implement, utilizing certain products from one of our partner vendors, that can actually, give you some better returns. So not just leaving your 401k where it is currently at. It's you can actually use some of those part and have investments outside of that. It's through a non-hardship in-service withdrawal. So if you want to find out more how we can do that and really put in your 401ks, your future in some really good vehicles, then my link tree is right there on the show description. Hop on there. Let's have a 30 minute conversation, and then if something makes sense at the end, we can further look into it. If not, that's okay too. I mean, this isn't for everybody, right? So maybe right now it's not the time or the priority, so we can talk about it some other time. And also, I also help veterans putting for the claims and benefits through the VA. I've helped several veterans go from 0 to 40%, 50%, some from 90 to 100%. No promises, because everybody's case is different. However, something is better than nothing. So if you've been kind of postponing as to how is it that you want to implement certain strategies as it pertains to your VA claims and benefits, hit me up. I'll run you, and I actually teach you how to fish for yourself. So that way, in the event that, in my absence, whatever the case, you can actually do this on your own. So unlike any other claim sharks that are out there, they're going to take a huge percentage of your VA for the first year or first couple of months. I will teach you how to do it, because at the end of the day, these are your claims and benefits. They're not mine. I'm just somebody who's helping you and showing you how to do it. Okay? Because you want to at the end of the day, you earn these benefits whether you like them or not. You earned them. Don't feel shy that just because you serve 4 years or just 2 enlistments, or you feel like, oh, I didn't deploy because, or I didn't do anything, I didn't deploy, which is, it still boggles my mind when I hear some of my brothers and sisters say some of those things. Hey, look, you serve the military, you earned these benefits, you gave your body, mind, soul, and spirit to the mean green machine. You need to get compensated, because as you get older, those things, all that motivation, all that hoorah, bark, bark, woof, woof that you did for the military is going to come back and bite you hard. And you want to put the government and the VA on the hook for it. Okay. So hit me up. It's all right there on the show description. Let's, I can show you how it can be done. And then some of those, once you start getting paid from the VA, let me show you what you can do with some of that money instead of blowing it off and buying things that you really don't need. Okay. So, and if you listen, this show is all about, we support the right to bear arms, freedom of speech, all those things. So if you want to be a guest on the show, you want at some point in time, you have a voice, you have a story to tell, I would love to have you on the show because guests are always welcome. And if you support veterans or have a business, we can talk about it, how you got started, and see how and be an example to other fellow service members. Okay. And, last but not least, shout out to Brian Coburn and the team at SitchRadio.com. So if you want to come in here and be a podcaster, or you need a mentor on how to get things done, Brian Coburn is the man to talk to. All right. So, yeah, I think that's all the pleasantries. And so let's get the show started. I know a lot of us at some point in time, I know I did. And not only because I was, obviously with some of the things that I deal with as far as, PTSD, mental health, and not that I'm not using it as a crutch, because there are some fellow service members that kind of use that PTSD moniker as a crutch and as a way. And, this may piss off some of you out there. And what's going on, Sonny? A huge shout out to you. Thanks for tuning in. But I know, this may piss off some of you. However, because I've seen it. I've been to several therapy groups, and in my session and everything, I know there's a lot of us out there, or a small percentage, who wear the PTSD moniker, and you just use it to pretty much get whatever it is that you want to get out of free shit or whatever the case, right? But this show today is for those of us who at some point in time you've hit and I know we've all hit that fork on the road. Maybe it was losing a job, maybe it was leaving the military. Maybe it's going through a huge divorce, or you're hitting a slump in your business, or you kind of woke up one day realizing that you just kind of drifted from the person that you used to be. We're having this existential personality crisis, so to speak. So this episode is basically about those moments. I know I've been very open and transparent with you guys out there. The dark, it's, I know things can get dark, it's frustrating, it's uncomfortable. And when we find in these spaces and we just don't know what to do, and we kind of we're left to wonder what comes next, or what comes after all this. So it's about finding a way forward. And even if your confidence is pretty much shot, you have all this doubt, and you keep reminding yourself that, that you got to keep reminding yourself that you're not washed up, you're not some has-been or whatever the case. You just kind of you got to keep saying to yourself, you're just being rerouted. So today we're going to talk about how to our own setbacks, take inventory of where you currently are, and start rebuilding, with some purpose. Because it's all about, the end state and what is the outcome, right? So whether you're a veteran adjusting to life, or an entrepreneur, or you're both, you're an entrepreneur, you're battling your own burnout, but just trying to reignite that fire, take inventory, and just know that you're not alone. So let's break it down a little bit, if I may. Okay. So, we all come to this crossroad, and we kind of hit a wall in life, and mentally, emotionally, professionally. So we're just kind of like, man, if you're transitioning out of the service, if you are, or just some life some really life-changing movements, like you're getting a divorce, you are, you pivoted from, this really successful job, and then all of a sudden, you went for business on your, by yourself, whatever the things may be. You're just, you got you got to know that that you're being rerouted for a higher purpose, for whatever reason, whatever that may be. You made that decision, and you went forward. So you just got to get honest about where you are and how you got there, and then just take a little bit of inventory and say, okay, what is my next move? What do I need to do? It's about asking the right questions to your brain, because naturally our brains are, because our frontal lobe is the biggest out of all the mammals. We have thought process. Animals, yes, animals can problem solve, but we can also rationalize, logic, have logical thinking, so on and so forth. You got to ask the right questions. Is, okay, I'm here. How do I get to my next destination? What do I need to do? Who can I talk to? How can I be in the right place to have these conversations, so on and so forth? That makes sense? You just can't, because if you ask the wrong questions in the wrong way, and because we're, it's already been proven that we all have this frequency, this natural frequency, human beings, animals, plants, trees, rocks. It's all true. We attract, we have this vibration, and we're all attracted to one another. That's why even veterans, we kind of tend to gravitate towards each other, as civilians, in the private sector, whatever case may be, right? So to my point is, if you ask the wrong questions or put the wrong vibe out there, that is all you're gonna attract. Like, why am I so stupid? Why do bad things? Here's a good one. Why do bad things happen to me? Because you're putting this vibe, this thought out there, and things are gonna line up where only bad shit happens to you. I mean, those type of people. I call them the energy vampires, or the energy drains, or the negative Sallys, or Debbie Downers. I mean, there's plenty of names for it. So the internal dialogue is important. And you gotta say, is this it, or versus there's more in me. So it's all about asking the right question and putting that out there, so that whether you're religious, I am a man of God. I do ask, God is, where else can I put myself so I can be in line with the path, or be in line with where my business needs to take me. You see what I'm saying? You got to if you ask those type of questions, your brain, excuse me, automatically will start vibing and putting you in those right situations. Nothing happens for happenstance. I'm a huge believer in that now, because I've had a lot of moments where, like, oh shit, wow, this is weird. I just said this, and here's this person talking to me about whatever. So it's what you put, the energy that you put out there, and then you will start attracting or putting yourself in those situations, right? Because sometimes we just need to do an identity check, or basically, hey, who the fuck am I? Who am I now? What am I doing? What am I doing? So I know a lot of us, I know it was for me when I was having in 2013, I was going through this huge just mental change, and everything, everything that I have been compartmentalizing over the years, trauma, whatever else, was kind of catching up with me. And, obviously I thought about, I had made a plan. I was going to, basically commit suicide. And, when I was taken to mental health and talked to the mental health provider, they asked me for my weapons card. Say, hey, Chief One Officer Korea, can I, we need to have your weapons card, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. Man, to me, that was my identity right there, because, from a very young, early process in the Marine Corps, we're taught that, hey, a Marine, this is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one's mine. We're warriors. It's kind of like Leonidas and 300. The Spartan says, shield and spear. That's that. We are. Everybody's a marksman, a basic rifleman. All that stuff that we're taught in the Marine Corps. So it's like I lost myself. I was like, holy shit, and then not only that, I mean, therapy and everything else was fine, but then we're getting out. We no longer associate ourselves, or maybe we do. It's like, man, for 4 years, 10, 12, whatever, I've been this warrior, this Marine, this individual, even this officer. Where am I going, right? So it's the mental battle of not being who you used to be. And then as years go by, then we kind of submerge ourselves and we start, we get distracted. We submerge ourselves into work, we submerge ourselves, and then we don't really deal with the issues and things that we got going at that time. Because, again, we compartmentalize, we shove it all away. It's like, no, I don't want to deal with you right now. And at some point, that shit is going to catch up to us, right? So, forgetting that inner badass, or that, because when you get out, or when you have a crisis, or, you start kind of ruminating and going back into your head and just kind of itemizing, or man, I used to do this, I used to do that, I did this, I did that, woulda, shoulda, coulda, I should have made this decision, I should have invested in crypto, I should have, pulled trigger on that business that was presented before me. I would have been this, I would have been that. Now I'm this. These many years have gone by post service, or these many years have gone in my life, and who the fuck am I now, right? So, and now with society, in society, it's like, and I hate it, post COVID, or even during COVID, this fucking word of new normal. It's not new normal. It's just that, this thought process over the years that, hey, you can't be a man, you can't be hardcore, that we all need to be kinder and gentler, and all this other horse shit bullshit that we're demasculating men, or demasculating the process of being a badass, man or woman. It's like, no, being too aggressive, this, that. It's just like all the shit that is going on lately. I mean, it's just fucking insane. So we have to rebuild and stop waiting. If you find yourself in one of these situations where you kind of like ruminating, you feel stuck, you whatever, you have to you got to start the rebuilding process and stop waiting and start moving, no matter how big or how small the steps are, because every step of the way is going to get, it will get you towards that direction. So for example, if you're a service member and you're going through this existential crisis, about to get out, about transition out, or maybe you've done, some things, you've already transitioned, it's been a couple of years, you gotta, you lost this Marine or manager or this business owner, whatever that is, and you're feeling like you lost yourself. Just take ask your friends, ask your loved ones, hey, have I, you've known me for these many years, or you've been with me for these many years. Do you think I've moved forward? What have I done? I'm here to tell you that they'll tell you, fuck yeah, man, you've done this, you've done that. You've opened a business, you've taken, because rewards come to the risk takers. Anybody who plays it safe, I'm here to tell you that anybody that's ever played it safe in life has gotten nowhere, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with, playing it safe, staying in your little swim lane, at your job, your cubicle, whatever. I'm not knocking it, because, hey, look, a lot of us, we all start out playing it safe. However, the ones who get uncomfortable, the ones who take the risk, the ones who take the shot, the ones who point at left field, doing the Babe Ruth move, and even though they swing and miss, but that next ball, all you need to do is just hit that ball once with all your fucking might. And then that bitch is just going to keep going and go over the fence line. And that's it. Home run. You made it happen. So all you need to just get it right once. But it's a mental battle of not being, of who you could have been, who you should have been, or woulda, shoulda, could have. The fucking past is gone. You know what I'm saying? We can, unless anybody here, which I'm pretty sure, I am a conspiracy theorist, slightly, but I'm sure there's plenty of shit out there that they've already built, of which can go back in time. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta remember that when you find yourself like that, just start back at the basics. Go to the gym, nutrition. Start a morning routine. Because if for me is getting up, meditating, praying, then exercise. Those are my non-negotiables. That I'm pretty good. Sometimes even my outline day does kind of switch around. It's been switching around lately, so I gotta put myself back in that regiment. But when we start kind of going sideways and stuff, you just got to go back to the basics, right? So why and then take note and count of those little steps. Hey, today I did a list. I knocked out, almost, 5 out of 7 or whatever. Those are wins. That's movement. That is heading in the right direction. And those little wins make you feel like, hey, you're back. It leads you to that big comeback. And you get back on that routine to sharpen your edge, not to just kind of numb you out. Because I'm telling you, if you start ruminating and going in that negative path or that dark hole, all that leads to is darkness and just a bad time for a lot, for you and for everybody. So just know you got to take strength from the struggle. Somebody once told me, hey, as an entrepreneur, you got to fall in love with the process. It is the times of grind, the times where, man, am I going to be able to make it? Did I make the right move? Holy shit, this sucks. And when you're in the thick of it, that's gold. That is, that's where men are made, and that's where you find out. And those are where men and children are, and you find who's in it for real and who's not, who's just there to fake the funk. Those are and at those points and at those times, that's when fucking people quit. That's when people give up. It's like those of you who have heard me talk about the book Napoleon Hill and the story of J.D. Barnes. 3 feet from gold. The guy people. This is where people give up and where they're almost at their destination, or they're almost from striking gold, from setting themselves apart from the pack. Hitting it big. During these times, that's when you just right there from almost leveling up, and you just gave up, and you think the price of success is expensive or is a lot. Wait until you get that bill of regret. Those are the fucking woulda, shoulda, coulda's. Here's my favorite. I almost joined the Marines, or I almost joined the service once, but hey, I would have beat my drill instructor or my drill sergeant. It's like, whatever. Those people, you don't want to be those. Okay. The I almost, or I could have, I would have, I should have. Tell you, regret sucks. And it's one of those things that, so rewards come to the risk takers. That's the bottom line. Okay. Yeah. It's gonna suck. You're gonna cry. You're gonna bitch, but that's okay. Do it all the way until you win, because adversity teaches you that success is will be that much sweeter when you achieve it. And and the other thing is that, and I guess this podcast is also for me as well, because I've lived through it. I'm going through it right now, and we all think that success is this linear line that's nice and straight, just from point A to point B. And when that bitch is like, it's like this. It's like the stock market. It's like whoa, whoa. It's like sometimes you're on the rise and it's great, love it, love that time. Sometimes it's like you take a dip and like, holy shit, this sucks, but that's okay, because I've seen other milestones. So it's all about reframing your thought process, and just know that failure is intelligence gathering. Ooh, that's pretty deep, right? Or they're just lessons. They're just lessons until the next one, and those little lessons compounded with a little bit of wins, that eventually is going to lead to something even bigger. The difference between real resilience and fake positivity is those the ones that keep showing up, the ones that get after, despite taking an ass whipping the day before, that morning they're back at it, right? I mean, that's all you can do. So as far as for me, I can tell you this, that I'll be very candid. When I was going through a really, really terrible divorce, it took 3 years. It pretty much wiped me out. I left out of it with just the only thing that I was living in my RV. I mean, that's it. In my truck, in my and a couple of broken down motorcycles. I mean, that's basically it. And some serious alimony that I'm paying to this day. I'm still paying. However, even though I was able, I've been able to, I found the love of my life. In my relationship with my kids, got that much better. I found, I've been able to do amazing things that I couldn't, in another lifetime. And nothing against the other person. I'm just saying that things that I couldn't have done in that situation. And I'm just much better and happier for other things. And just to put in a professional aspect too, I've rewritten my career post retirement. I mean, I left the Marine Corps, a great job. Not even a job. I love being a Marine. I was good at it. I was on the path to keep rising as on the warrant officer ranks, among other things. I built a good network, a good name for myself, and here I am getting out, doing safety, and which I did great, and just many other things. So you find success taking risk, calculated risk, and getting uncomfortable, period. And although I'm still at it, I'm still grinding, I'm still rediscovering who I am and who this individual is. I mean, shit. This podcast was an idea of that I've been marinating on many years, and here I am 4 years down the road. I mean, still at it. I built a good listener base, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. But most primarily, had I not taken the show, you know what, fuck it, I want to do a podcast or whatever else, I wouldn't be here. So just remember that, you've survived worst. Always remember that you're not too old. You're never too old to do anything. It's what it's what will limit you is this, and it's not too late. You might be in a different chapter in life or whatever, but that's okay. That's what makes this process even that much better. So make peace with the past, grab the lessons that you learn from there, all that intelligence that you gather, and build forward and move forward with intention. That's all we can do, right? And always surround yourself with a group. Always reach back to your network, to your trusted group, and put yourself with people that are expert or subject matter experts in their field. Don't ever ask for advice. You wouldn't go to a butcher and ask him about fucking jewelry. You wouldn't go to a mason and ask him about how to make bread, right? You go to a baker. You need advice on jewelry. You go to a jeweler. You need advice on how to start a business. You go to somebody who's done it and is good at it, and is making a lot of money. So again, put yourself in those situations and seek the right advice. So the question is, now that you have this information, now that we've been candid with one another, is what are you going to do with it? I don't know. So I think this is a pretty good place to index. Look, listen, I know, the holidays is just kind of a funky time for a lot of us. I will most likely in the last couple of weeks, maybe next week might be our last show for the year because of for many different things. And I know we just spend time with your loved ones is the main reason. So with that being said, look, if you've been ruminating, you've been thinking about just bad thoughts, you need somebody to talk to, the holidays, your career, you find yourself stuck, give me a shout out. Reach right here at the show. You can get a hold of me. My calendar, Zoom is right there on the show description. Put yourself on the calendar and let's have a chat. All right? Because at the end of the day, nobody wants you to commit suicide or make a stupid decision. So with that being said, everybody, hey, thanks so much for stopping by. I'll see you next week. It's time to index. Ice Tomas, Daisuke. See you next week, everybody. All right, get some.